Hey everybody, I'm just walking down the street here on my way to the cemetery, and just wanted to say about not using your ancestors for a bunch of spell work, enslaving them, making them do a bunch of heavy lifting. Yes, we can ask our ancestors to help us on things, but they're heavily dependent on us for veneration. It's a weird relationship where we're actually more in the power position because we can affect things in the physical realm much more easily, having a physical body. And we could go to other spirits, other people's dead. We can go to deities. We could go to just different spirits than our ancestors to go ask for help or go do things. But our ancestors are dependent on us for veneration. So it's a weird power dynamic. Same with the Mfumbi and Apollero's pot. They pact with you, but they're dependent on you for instruction and for elevation, or for the energies or offerings for them to be able to go do your work. And they're sort of, it's a process where they're working off maybe some debt, some spiritual debt. Same with the Gede, with the unclaimed spirits. They're not necessarily ancestors. They can be ancestral, follow along the long lines. Or the Exu and Pamagira to get unclaimed dead, and then they sort of work their debts off to humanity by doing work. But ancestors are different. Good helping ancestors, they've earned their rest. And it's a big taboo. I'm not going to speak for Haitian culture, but from what I've learned for Haitian culture, hey Amy, is that there's a big taboo against slavery, right? Like, imagine you're descended from a slave. You're a free person. Why would you want to work your ancestors like that? No, you would go get a random dead to go do that. And the whole taboo against zombies, being basically a spiritual slave more than a physical drugged one, a live one, is more common. So you don't want to make your bloodline and your ancestors zombies. And also whatever you do to your bloodline affects you and your future offspring. So that's the other reasons to go work with like a random dead or someone else's ancestors, and why it's important to venerate your ancestors, so someone can't go grab your ancestors and do that to them. So why are you doing that to them? Just a second, I gotta cut some flowers here, and I'm gonna continue my talk. Oh, some lilacs, they're in bloom. Just gonna leave a coin, because I need some offerings. So hold up here. Yeah, that's the other thing when you go to a cemetery, like, not all spirits are gonna want coins or rum or cigar, or they might ask for something that you're not willing to give, and then you can renegotiate with them, possibly. But they'll try to test you maybe and see what you're willing to do. But there's other spirits to work with, again. Just because that's what you're drawn to doesn't mean that's the one. So, yeah, I see a bunch of people, like, especially people that aren't in ATR's witchcraft tradition, saying, why wouldn't your ancestors have your back? Or, my ancestors do this, my ancestors do that. And they're drained of energy. And for the one reason why is they're not giving enough offerings. Sorry, it's like a motorcycle, loud ass motorcycle. They're drained of energy because they're using their own life force. They're using their own ashe. And I mean, some of us we've built it up, but we also tap into other energy sources and we give offerings. So some people are feeling drained, and it's because they're using their own ancestors to do spell work. and they're making these offerings conditional, like, I'll give you this if you help me with this. And it doesn't necessarily work like that with ancestors. You're supposed to want to help them out of love and heal them and heal your family and give them things because it's a gift, because you love them. You know, you don't go to your mom and say, hey mom, I have these flowers for you, but you have to do this for me. It doesn't work like that. And that's a big difference of working with your ancestors or working with like a random spirit of the dead. So whatever you do it's on you, whether or not you want to believe about consequences or karma and all that. It's not on the spirit that you're using necessarily to work with, but that's different if you're involving a spirit of your bloodline. That's also on you, and has other ramifications. So a lot of people ask me about doing spell work on your Boveda, and for the most part it's a no-no. They can bless certain objects. You can ask them for things like, please help me get a good job, etc., etc. But it's up to them whether or not they want to help you. You don't withhold offerings. You don't force them to do work for you. And so again, in Haitian culture, that's a huge taboo against slavery, against zombies, and they mostly let their dead rest, is what I understand, because the more you involve them in your life, the more they're going to have a say, or feel like they can have a say about what goes on in your life. They can block you, and for the most part it's for your own good, but it could be because of their own prejudices or what they feel is right, or their super conservative or traditional values that aren't for the modern world or aren't for you. And we have our own free will and choices what we want to do in this life, right or wrong. So it's something to consider. A lot of people don't understand what I don't know what you guys think about this, but I just wanted to reply because, yeah, I'm in some of these stupid groups, and one person said that this very legit spirit of a criminal or something like that to be doing things like that. Sorry, disconnecting, not only effectively, but because of the effects it can have on you yourself. So yeah, there's certain works you can do even with your spirit guides, or you would take them off the Boveda, do spiritual work with them, but it's largely positive. Your spirit guides are elevated. They're elevated above your ancestors. And ancestors can act as a guide, but they're not your spiritual guides. So if you have a spiritual guide advising you to do negative things, that's not a spirit guide. Those we count as our ancestors would likely not do that, but they're not as elevated. So it's actually more likely. But you want to elevate them to higher, basically a higher place. And that's why the dead are so dangerous, is because they're so close to our realm, especially the lower ones, that they can get shit done. But it's a whole different vibration in dealing with them. So this video keeps cutting out. I don't know if anybody has any questions or added thoughts about this, but that's generally the way we view it in Sansei Spiritismo and Voodoo, anyway, as much as I understand, in the Caribbean. I think a lot of people just don't know what they're doing, or they don't, I guess, yeah, they don't have additional information, or they don't believe the same way. I don't know, but to me it makes sense. Why would you work someone who deserved their rest to the bone when I call them out of retirement, when you've got all these needy spirits out here that can do stuff? You know, say you died, would you want to be like told to do this and do that, do this and do that, and you necessarily don't want to do it? No. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Ancestors can block you anyways, but that's why they don't really, they feed them maybe once or twice a year. That's the other thing. They don't always get food offerings all the time in certain traditions, your ancestors anyway. And spirit guides don't really need that either. So sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between a guide and an ancestor, or a random spirit, a spirit that's just attracted to your light and just wants to work off that debt. So, you know, it's one of those ways that you can tell anyways. So, I'm going to leave this video here, which is something I've been seeing in a conversation that I've had recently with someone. So, see you guys later.